Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a really significant, maybe even controversial idea about the Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah, it's this potential path to peace, but one that involves, well, territorial exchange.
Exactly. We're drawing on recent statements from U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and some related reports.
Our goal here, for you listening, is to kind of unpack this proposal. What does it really mean?
What are the potential sacrifices, for each side? And where does the U.S. actually stand on it all?
Okay, so let's dive right in. The core idea, as Vice President Vance talked about it in India, it really centers on territorial swaps.
Swaps between Russia and Ukraine. He framed it as pretty much necessary to get to a real peace agreement.
It's not just about stopping the fighting. It's actually about potentially redrawing borders.
Right, and Vance wasn't vague about it. He suggested both countries would need to give up some land they currently hold.
Which is a huge point.
Yeah, and interestingly, he pointed to the current front lines, suggesting the new lines should be somewhere close to where things stand now.
So the implication is clear. Some kind of trade, maybe roughly along those existing battle lines.
But that's where it gets really difficult, doesn't it? Especially thinking about it from Ukraine's perspective.
Absolutely. President Zelensky, he's warned about this idea of freezing the conflict along the current lines. That's a major sacrifice for Ukraine.
A huge sacrifice. We're talking about significant territories, right? In the east, the south, and then there's the whole issue of Crimea.
Exactly. And Zelensky's view, it seems, is that even just talking about swapping sovereign territory, well, it helps Russia.
How so?
It kind of prolongs the conflict, maybe, on terms that favor Moscow. For Kiev, holding on to their territory, that's fundamental. Non-negotiable, really.
Okay, so Ukraine sees it one way, but then there's the U.S. position. And it seems, well, quite aligned with this territorial exchange idea.
It does look that way. Apparently, the U.S. has actually put forward a peace proposal based on this concept.
And there's reporting about Marco Rubio communicating with the NATO Secretary General.
Yes, conveying a pretty firm message. Like, if a clear path to peace involving this kind of exchange doesn't emerge soon,
Then what?
then the U.S. is prepared to step back, withdraw from mediation efforts.
Wow, okay, so it's not just a suggestion, it's more like a condition.
It sounds like it. Vance seemed to echo that, too. He hinted the U.S. could pull back its involvement if this proposal isn't, positively received.
That puts immense pressure on both Kiev and Moscow, surely.
Definitely. It forces them to really confront this specific path, this framework.
Does it suggest the U.S. thinks this is maybe the only realistic way forward right now?
Well, their assertive stance could imply that. Perhaps they believe that letting the conflict drag on without this kind of difficult compromise might lead to even worse outcomes. It's a strong signal.
Right. So let's try and summarize this for you. What we're seeing is a proposed resolution built on mutual territory swaps.
A very tough pill to swallow for Ukraine, given their stance on sovereignty and territorial integrity.
And the U.S. is taking a firm line, basically saying, consider this seriously, or we might step away from the negotiating table.
Which really brings us to the key question, doesn't it? Given these very strong, almost entrenched positions, and the U.S. putting its weight behind this specific difficult compromise, what are the actual realistic paths forward?
Yeah, can you really see a lasting peace emerging from this specific setup?
And are there other factors, maybe things we haven't even considered yet, that could suddenly change the game entirely? Unexpected events, shifts in leadership, maybe battlefield dynamics?
Lots to think about there. A complex situation with no easy answers in sight.